So, I mean, one of the essays in, if you're all interested in civil war stuff, you could buy from Roman Littlefield's a book, Defining Corporations, Defining Democracy, and there's a collection of essays. They were all written in the 90s. It's the same stuff today, but they were framing it out. And one of the essays is by a brilliant writer named Jane Ann Morris, who, you can Google her and see some of the other stuff she's written. Ward loved Daniel Flynn's novel by Ishmael because the people were inside the bars and they didn't know it. And there are so many people who think we still have democracy, but we just have to tweak it a little. And I think one of the, tragedies of Ward's life, in a way, was to come to realize we don't, and we probably never did, because property rights were enshrined in our Constitution. And so that's a kind of a discouraging thought, but there are things we can do, and from the bottom up. So I wanted to share that. I want to continue this work, and I need communities to work with just as Ward did. He did nothing alone. Everything was done in community and collectively. He co-authored every book. Starting out in my left-wing activities as a teenager, an old Mennonite who was a professor at the University of Chicago said to me, the sadness in the unions today, this was in the mid-50s, is that they've stopped singing. And so that's one reason we want to have these wonderful musicians here, because we need the energy, the fervor to do this kind of work requires song. It's the lifeblood of social action.
We have time for two, and then we'll go to the raging grams. So why don't you start, and then Shell, and then we'll go back to music.
Whatever you say.
Do you have one more song?
We're going to do Solidarity Forever and Joe.
No, that's at the end. We're going out with that.
We're going out with that.
Roger will get a chance to say something, I hope, before we. You'll whisper to someone next to you, but we wanted to speak, and then Shell, and then we'll go over to the Raging Grammys.
I'm Ruth Kaplan from Washington, D.C., and first I wanted to bring greetings from Lynn Armstrong in Manhattan, who wasn't able to come, but who has been very important in the archiving of the other Economic Summit documents. And she wanted me to share with you that those are at Temple University, and that they're now working on archiving them in a way that they'll be available digitally. And that if anybody would like to make a donation to that effort, that is possible. I'm not sure just to whom to make that contribution.
Her statement is in that binder.
Okay, good. And then just very briefly for myself, I have so many images of Ward, and people have said so many wonderful things. I think just what I want to say is he's so deep inside that when I do my work, I feel his presence. And I hope we all will, because we know that this work is such an incredible challenge. And whether we're working at the local level to defy corporations through these ordinances that you mentioned, or whether we're working at the national or the international level, we know that we're about fundamental change. But I think that we keep the energy and the lack of ego and the love of Ward in our hearts as we do that work. It will carry me on footstep by footstep. So I just want to thank him.
From across the river in Hadley, and I know Ward and Carolyn through my political and my Jewish communities, but I want to talk about a different side of Ward, and that's the Sami side. In a world where half the population gets its news from Fox, and the other half gets the news from the warmongering New York Times and, Judith Miller and all those, the horrible things that went on in the name of mainstream journalism. People like Ward who are out there pushing the alternative voices, giving them a platform, putting their books out, even if it's in a run of 100, making sure that that is out there if people want to find it. Let's celebrate that.